Hello, everybody. Welcome to the BariConnected Podcast. And today we're being joined by my wonderful friend, Henry Baker, who is a chef and incredible cook. He had weight loss surgery back in 2020 and a pre-surgery weight of 365. He shed 142 pounds, giving him a whole new leash on life. And, with this experience, Henry, that you have we were having a little conversation pre-podcast, and he was just talking about, he's been in the industry, the culinary industry, for about 20 years. He's recently, I'd say within the last, 2, 3 years, been really working on um, diving into his website and getting some online recipes. He has some cooking classes and just nutrition coaching overall. Henry, tell us a little bit more in depth on what you do and what your overall goal is in this community.
What I do is well, I mean, I went to culinary school like 20 years ago, and I had my surgery like 3.5 years ago, and um, I'm down 140 pounds, and I feel great, and everything is wonderful. And since I like probably maybe like you said 2 years ago, I started really getting down to like sharing these healthy recipes with everybody else, and finding that there's a niche that I mean, there's a need where people are looking for recipes, like healthy recipes that are actually adventurous and exciting, and just things that they can eat besides the chicken and the cottage cheese and yogurts, whatever kind of thing. And then also, I really hope that they share those recipes and that food with their family, their kids and stuff like that, so they can learn how to eat healthier too. And so that's where everything started. And so then I start talking to people, and they're like, I don't have time to cook. I don't know how to cook. I don't, there's, lots of going on in life. And so my thing is that is that my business is I teach people how to cook, especially people who have weight loss surgery, because I feel like that's going to help them long term as far as learning that cooking skill, so they can keep going when everything else when they're over the turkey and the cottage cheese, they can keep going with other stuff and be creative. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is being creative with their cooking and their eating and their healthy lifestyle. So for me, yeah, so a lot of it's like the cooking classes, the online cooking classes. I'll do in-person cooking classes, but most of it's online cooking classes, and they're fun and they're educational, and and you'll see what based on what we're showing everybody today, it's the kitchen is going to be a welcoming, safe environment for people to actually want to go into the kitchen. I think that's the biggest part. Once you get into like, let's get into the kitchen, the cooking parts, just that's when the cooking part just starts.
And that's kind of where we're going today, I think, with this. We're going to talk about 10 healthy kitchen tips. And so, Henry, I'm excited because I know you're going to share some things maybe people haven't really thought about before. When we're on this journey of having had weight loss surgery, I like how you said it. A lot of times people those first few years are just kind of like looking for the quick fixes. But it's really a lifelong thing. And when you learn to get comfortable in the kitchen and learn to be able to make recipes that you really like, it's almost like draws you in. I know for myself, a lot of times it all comes down to time. Like
Yeah.
me and my husband, we're always um we're kind of on the go, and I know a lot of family people that have children, and people lead busy lives. And so like learning how to make things easy and to be able to get in the kitchen and do what you need in a little time. I know this summer our big go-to is the grill, like because it's so fast and easy, but I still like the little sides and things. And
Yeah.
I always feel like whenever I see your videos that you post, that you're always coming up with such unique ideas. Where do you get your ideas from? Because they're just different from what else you see out there. You always have like a little touch of pizzazz. I don't know how to explain it. I think your background though kind of comes in too. Like you have an kind of a different kind of ethnic background of cooking style? Like, what would you say? Would you say kind of Mexican or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm Hispanic, so a lot of it has that Hispanic flair. But then, I also do try to do a lot of kind of just everything. I'll do like Japanese dishes, Italian dishes, French dishes, and but then the thing is like in my experience of learning, of growing, and being in the culinary field, you pick up people's different types of um, ethnicities and what they're cooking with, and the different types of spices that they have, and just like oregano has, like each country, a lot of countries have their own set type of oregano. So you kind of know which ones have which go where, and then they really enhance that dish that you're working with.
And I kind of this last week I went out here in Missouri. We're just now planting our gardens, which I know I've seen pictures. I know you've been doing that for a while, doing the garden stuff because
Yeah.
it's sunny California where Henry's from. I'm from Missouri. And I went and I was buying some of my herbs and I was noticing, like you were talking about oregano, this year I bought Greek oregano, which had a different look, different kind of texture, and different
Yeah.
smell to it.
Mhm.
Um, so I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, like almost a lot of your different herbs do have different different varieties. Mint, there's like 4 or 5 different kinds, probably more than that, just what
Yeah.
I was looking at. So
Yeah. And the thing is that, so like, I mean, yeah, like cumin, there's lots of different types of cumin, paprika, like oregano, just everything. Just, I mean, every country has their own little flair to it. And so if you pick those, if you pick the ones that are native to whatever your dish is, it's going to enhance that so much better. And you're really going to get that true, like authentic flavor in your dish for sure. And then the other thing is farmers markets. I mean, farmers markets are great because they have everything fresh out there, but then at the same time, you can get your kids to get to the farmers market. That's always a fun outing. So I just love fresh, nutrient dense vegetables too.
it looks like we have a couple comments about planting. Tara says,
Yeah.
we don't plant anything till Mother's Day. I know. Usually I don't either, and I'm scared. I was telling Henry here in the Midwest, like there is this really bad storm coming through my little area that I live in, and I'm kind of scared because there's tornadoes and all of that in this thing. So I have a lot of my plants I just planted, so hopefully they're
Yeah.
all going to survive this bad storm we're having.
Yeah. I usually start mine around March.
Oh, how long does it go to your season? Like up into
Um,
the fall?
yeah, into the winter, really. I mean, I think that it's I mean, I was still getting tomatoes back in like October, November even.
Um, oh my gosh. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I should have had you take some pictures of your garden so we could see it for the call.
Yeah, I want to say if I have any pictures, but I have actually one of my videos is me making a pasta sauce in front of my tomato plants. So you guys can look that up.
You've had some pictures and videos, haven't you, on some of your
Yeah,
stuff? Like,
I have some
yeah.
stuff on video on social media. Yeah, a lot of my videos on social media. I mean, obviously everything I create the recipes, I cook it, I edit it, and I'll film it, the whole thing kind of thing. And so um, it just I enjoy sharing that with everybody and making sure that they're healthy and they're nutrient dense and protein and fiber and all that good stuff for everybody.
I'm reading some of the comments.
Yeah,
Somebody says they actually bought seeds this year instead of plants, and I do both because some things I don't have luck with seeds
yeah.
sometimes, but some things I do. I always are a go-to with the seeds because so it kind of depends. But I get it. Carrie says big storms just here too. LOL.
Oh
Oh,
no. Well, nice and
stop
sunny
them.
here.
I know I can see all the sun in the background. It's making me jealous. Oh, well, Henry, let's get started. Do you want me to pull
Okay.
up? Henry does have a little presentation that he made.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
would you like for me to pull that up for you?
Yeah, I think it's gonna feed right into the philosophy of how I think and all that kind of thing. And so it's just one of those things where I like to make sure that when I talk to people, like I consult with people about what their, about their cooking experiences, where they're at and all that kind of thing. But also, what is your kitchen of like? What is your kitchen like? How's it set up? And, is it convenient and all that kind of thing? And back to why you're getting that set up, right?
Yes, I'm actually
Okay.
getting ready to hear
Oh yeah,
pull it
yeah.
up. I
And so while you're doing
am.
that, the other thing is that forgot what I was gonna say now. They is that, being in the kitchen is one of those things where it's just oh no, what I was going to say was that, so speaking to the time thing, so a lot of people say they don't have time because they have jobs, they have kids, whatever kind of thing. But like the way I can teach people, I can help them take a 45-minute recipe and bring that down to like 25, 30 minutes just by streamlining the process and making sure the kitchen is set up right. And so that saves time for you and your family to be together and or, they can all cook together.
So, Henry, I have it pulled up. Since you're on your phone, are you able to see what I have pulled up here?
Yeah. Actually, I'm on
Okay,
my
awesome.
computer now.
Okay, wonderful. And I'm gonna pull up the chat box. So if anybody does have anything they want to ask questions about while you're
Yeah, for sure.
cooking and stuff, please feel free to comment if you're watching the live event. And I am watching Facebook too. So if you have comments on our Facebook as well as the Zoom webinar. We're here live. So please feel free. And somebody says they're a terrible cook. I've never found a recipe that tastes good. I think it's about building that confidence, like trying it. Sometimes it's trying it a few times, for me at least.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with is starting off like just taking those baby steps of just trying to little things here and there, and then really like a recipe that you have is more of like a guide. So if there's something that you feel like I don't like something in there, it doesn't agree with my digestion, whatever, like you can always substitute things out. Or if you feel like I don't feel like I did this good because it doesn't have enough of this, then add a little more to it kind of deal. It's always like it's one of those things where you have to create that, you have to build that creativity muscle for your food.
Yeah, and sometimes you can follow a recipe to the T and it not turn out how you thought it would, but like
Yeah.
you said, modifying it, or adding to if it's something that you can add to it for different end result. Like, for example, mashed potatoes. I'm just gonna, sometimes after you get finished, you could add a little bit of something to liquefy, or you could add a little bit more seasoning, or you can add a little bit of herbs, or you can add a little bit more,
Yeah.
cream or whatever it is, to make it exactly what you need it. Now, I know,
Yeah, for sure.
please no hate comments on mashed potatoes, but I know this is a healthy
I
one,
know.
but you could
They are
probably
yummy
make
though.
mashed potatoes healthy if you wanted to, certain version. Okay, it's all yours, Henry.
Okay. So, so most of the stuff that we're going to go through is stuff that if you look at my social media, a lot of this, like just the backgrounds of my videos, you'll see that a lot of the backgrounds is what I have in this presentation as far as like making things nice and comfortable and safe and but also welcoming. So you're like, whatever. What are your comforts? Your comforts, are they candles? Are they music? Whatever. Bring all that stuff into the kitchen and enjoy it. I mean, you see these movies where people are like dancing and cooking kind of thing. That could be you. But okay, so let's start off with just basically, gadgets and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of these things are self-explanatory. I feel like I just recently got my air fryer, so I'm kind of enjoying that right now too. So that'll fit into this category. I think a lot of these are like, your scale and your blender, your food processor are stuff that you really need to have. And then like it goes down to like little like the silicone mats and the jelly roll sheets and stuff like that. Some of that stuff is, personal preference. Some people like to use the silicone stuff. Some people like to use aluminum foil. So everything in your kitchen is custom to you. And it's something that whatever you feel comfortable doing. So just, you take all these um, um, just these suggestions or whatever. There's probably other things other people have in there. A jelly roll sheet is it's just like a baking sheet, basically. Um, but yeah, for sure. So your scale, your blend, your food processor, your spatulas, you have different sizes. Make sure you have different sizes. You have small ones if you have like get little things in there. You get bigger ones if you're like doing some baking, stuff like that. Got different types of tongs, like everything you have, most of the stuff you try to have like 2 or 3 different types of sizes, just because they play in different, they play differently whenever with different recipes. So,
You
all
want me
right.
to do the next slide here,
Yeah,
Henry?
next slide. Okay.
Okay.
So your basic cutting tools, you're going to have sharp knives. Now, the biggest thing is when people get, the biggest thing about the knives is you got to keep them sharp. They're not sharp, then if they're dull, you're not going to get a good cut. And then that's when people start, cutting themselves because the knives like slip and stuff like that. So you keep them sharp and be confident and make sure you know how to hold your knife and how to use your knife. And I feel that's one of the first things we teach when we do cooking classes is like the knife skills and stuff like that. So, you have your different types of knives. You have your chef's knives, your paring knives, your bread knives, but then you have like, your fish knife, your boning knife, your meat knife, everything else. But those are all, you don't really need those. Those are what I have, but not what most people just have these 3. And then your straightener is basically like as you use your knife, you get little grooves in your knife, so the carbon steel is going to straighten those things out. It's not a sharpener; it's just a straightener, like a short fix. But then you can also get like sharpeners, that actually you have to put them in a knife and they sharpen it better. So every once in a while, probably like 2 or 3 times a year, I do my knives that way too. And then cutting boards. So my wife is pescatarian and I'm not. So, we eat differently sometimes. So I have different types of cutting boards. I have one cutting board for fish. I have one cutting board for vegetables and one cutting board for meats. Just because it's more convenient, it's nicer that way. I don't have to like cut something here and then clean it off and then cut something there. I have the 3. I'll clean them all at one time and it's not a big deal. And you don't have to get expensive ones. You can get cheaper ones. You can get plastic ones. You get whatever. It's just that it's most convenient. And I feel like that's how you're going to really set up yourself for success, because especially like I said, my wife's pescatarian, I eat meat, so it's easier for me to have multiple of those with me. So, and then you always got to treat your cutting board. You got to treat it with, I have some ointments in my cabinet over here. But mineral water is really good. That mineral oil kind of stuff is really good to keep them nice and fresh, looking good, and like and those grooves, kind of heal those grooves too. Okay, so that's
So,
that.
Henry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, the mineral oil, would that be more of your wooden boards or would that be the plastic too?
It's more of the wooden boards. Yeah. I usually use like wooden boards myself. I do have a couple of plastic ones, but I'll just wash those or even throw those in the dishwasher. But yeah, the mineral oil is going to be more for the wood ones, the bamboo ones and things like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you talked about this. I have one more question about
Yeah.
the like like sharpening. So
Yeah.
you said there's some that you can just buy where you just take the knife and you just kind of go in and out of, it's like a little device kind of like,
Yeah.
but you
Mhm.
said, did you mention a different kind
So the
of,
one, so the one that where you put the knife in and you put it down, that's actually a sharpener. So that one you're going to do maybe 3, 4 times a year. The straightener is the long one, the long looks like a stick. Um, that one you'll do, probably every other time you cook. That's just going to straighten everything and get your knives nice and sharp. So that's more of a day-to-day one, as opposed to the one that you sit on there and you start um, putting your knife back and forth on it kind of thing, because that's going to, it sharpens it, but the way it sharpens it, it kind of like, it kind of cuts the blade a little bit.
and there's a question too, what kind of wood do you prefer for your wooden cutting boards?
So I typically use a harder one. Usually I'll try to use like a bamboo or an oak or something like that. So they're more sturdy. Um, and then, um, and then just depends on what you're looking for. Like some people are looking for like, different types. I actually have one that's like, it's a giant, huge one that's in my videos, but it's like, it's probably got like 10 different types of woods in it. it's just overboard for me, but it's good for my videos. But there's like, I don't know, just like rainforest ones, and there's like, oak in there, and there's pine in there, and whatever kind of thing, just like all kinds of different ones. But usually I like bamboo. Bamboo is nice. It's a sturdy one. It stays true to where it's supposed to a cutting board for you. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, next.
Oh, next one. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, so here's where we talk about, the first step of making your kitchen welcoming. So you, like I said, if you like candles, you like music, flowers, whatever, you like fun colors, bring those into your kitchen. And then, just manage your temperature. You can like dim the lights a little bit, not too much, but you can set a mood there. So when you go in there, it's more of a welcoming kind of thing. Like when you go into your living room and you want to sit down and watch a show or whatever, you're gonna have nice, comfortable, whatever in your living room, right? You're going to be nice and comfortable. The kitchen should be the same way, where it could be, you could bring everything in, and it's not hard. It's not hard to bring a candle in, or a vase of flowers, and they look nice, they smell nice, and they just add to the ambience of what you're doing. And the other thing about the music is, like, if you're making it like a Mexican dish, put on Mexican music. If you're making an Italian dish, put on Italian music. Like that really helps you with your mood, and really helps you like get into the dish that you're making. And it's fun. It's always fun because, I mean, you can listen to Taylor Swift all day long, but it's more custom to that dish if you really um, use use music that fits it, kind of thing. I listen to a lot of jazz, like especially old time jazz kind of thing, and just helps my blood flow for sure.
I love that about the colors. I think presentation is so important, like when you're doing whatever you're doing, because it for whatever reason it seems like it makes it taste better. And I have Fiesta ware. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but it is like the plates and the dishes all come in
Yeah,
different colors. So I
nice.
have probably maybe 12 different colors. So I always pick the color based on my mood.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Colors are always fun, are always nice. And then like, just manage your temperature. If you got a lot of like heat going on, if you're doing a lot of baking, you might want to cool it down a little bit, or versus if it's springtime, you want to open all the windows and keep it nice and fresh in there. It's always nice too. Yeah. And then we look at our healthy food staples. I mean, we always have to have like, kind of keep thinking that we're on this journey forever, and that we have to make sure that everything that we have are healthy, with lots of nutrients, proteins, fibers, complex carbs, and stuff like that. So we got to make sure that whatever is not doesn't fit into that lifestyle. Let's start slowly replacing those with some of these like more nutrient dense foods, and healthier foods. Like keto breads, we have a lot of that. We don't eat a lot of bread, but when we do, it's most of the time it's like some type of keto or low calorie breads. Almond butter is really good. I mean, all these we already know about, all these different types of stuff that goes in the refrigerator. Berries are really good for you. They're very low in sugar, and they have lots of fiber. So we have lots of berries all the time. Fortunately for me, being in California, we have the farmers market all year round, so I can always have berries. So that's nice. And then in your pantry, it's just your beans and your black rice. Black rice is way better for you than white rice or brown rice or even cauliflower rice, because it's got a lot of protein and fiber in it. And then just like we talked about, the herbs and the spices, different types, and whatever if you make a lot of like certain type of authentic foods, whatever kind of thing, make sure you have that spice that goes with it.
Henry, what is black rice made of?
It's black rice is basically like it's like a Japanese rice. It's just black. I mean, I guess I don't really know. I guess it's just part of it's just a different type of it's I don't know. I'd have to look that. I'll have to
It's
research
just
that. I'll send
good.
it to you. Black rice
Okay.
you can get it off of Amazon. You can get it at the Asian store, Asian market, or you can get it off of Amazon. But it is like really good. A lot of my recipes, if I put any kind of rice in there, it's going to be black rice for my recipes on my Instagram. So if you look at my social media, you'll see me cooking with the black rice. And it's basically cooked just a little bit longer than white rice, just because it's a little more that nutty feel to it. So you cook it a little bit longer, but it's a lot more rewarding for you for sure. Yeah.
Henry,
Um,
since you're saying that, I'm gonna jump to your Instagram account. So guys,
yeah,
if you want to follow Henry, it's Chef Healthy Henry. I'll copy that so I can paste it in our chat. And show us one of your recipes that have black rice.
okay, so let's see, where are we at? This one here,
Is
this
this
one
it?
with the fish, yep.
Okay. Ooh, that does look good.
So that's edamame, so that's the, really good. And then
Whoops.
oopsies. So it's a lot of, there's edamame in there, there's some pine nuts, so, and then, what else did I see that I wanted to point out?
Looks like fresh lime,
Yeah.
cilantro, some
Mhm.
cloves.
Yeah, so a lot of this is just, these are the kind of things like see how the background, I have like flowers in there. A lot of times I'll have candles in the background and stuff like that, just like stuff that's going to make you feel good and make you feel at home kind of thing. So this is the spinach, and my edamame, and then that basically the edamame I put in a food processor, half of it, and blended it. And so that's black rice is that we're putting that on top of the black rice. It's super,
This is making me
healthy.
so hungry. Anybody else? Anybody else getting hungry? Oh my goodness. If you're just listening, because we do have an audio replay on our podcast, um, you have to check out Chef Healthy Henry on Instagram. And also Henry is on TikTok and on YouTube too as well. But I just thought
Yeah,
I'd jump over real quickly.
yeah.
I'm gonna go
And
back to your presentation, but
my
looks so
website
good.
is chefhealthyhenry.com. It's got a lot of, a lot more recipes on there too. So it's all Chef Healthy Henry. So yeah.
I'm gonna paste those while you're talking, Henry. Oops,
Mhm.
it clicked off. I forget that I'm sharing my screen. I'll wait. I'll paste all of Henry's stuff in the chat
Yeah,
here.
for
Get
sure.
done.
So then organization is obviously a key to everything. Make sure everything's in the right places. But I mean, the thing is, for me, functionality is a big thing in your kitchen. Um, so making sure all your cutting stuff is all in one spot, putting all your, if you have tools like spatulas and stuff like that you use in your stove, then put all those in a drawer right next to your stove. Your silverware doesn't have to be next to your stove. They can, because you're not going to use a lot of those when you're actually doing the cooking. But I do see people do that. But then, make sure your cleaning supplies are in safe places so they don't get mixed in with the food. Obviously, under the sink is what most people do. And then you just make sure your everything is in the right spots. And then your baking spices and stuff like that are in, whatever pantry they need to be in. But they're also accessible as you're cooking. So if you're decide, oh, I need more oregano, it's easier to get to, or if you're like in my kitchen, my pantry's on, the other side of the kitchen. So I have to, before I start cooking, I get all my spices I need and bring them all over. Ideally, I'd have the spices right next to the stove, but I don't. But, whatever, it is what it is. So, organization is big. So, okay, and
Did
then
I?
let's go back. Okay, let's go to storage. Try and get through
Okay.
it quickly so you don't, we don't get cut off. So storage is so I use a lot of reusable food storage stuff. I have my own like my own little bag. And if anybody wants one, I can send you guys one. It's Chef Healthy Henry one. And then you have different like the storage bags, you have freezer ones, you have lunch bags, and then you have ones that are microwavable. So you have to make sure that you use the right ones. Like you can't put a lunch friendly one in the freezer because you're going to get that the freezer burn on your food. You have to make sure it's the right ones, and then when you put it in there, make sure you squeeze all the air out and all that kind of thing, nice and tight. Those are a lot of storage stuff is big just because then it lasts longer, especially if you have like fresh like vegetables and things like that.
Hey, Henry, there's a question too. It's going back to the rice.
Yeah,
This is from Facebook. Do you cook black rice the same way as white rice?
you cook it the same way, you just cook it a little bit longer. Um, So it's just, you're gonna add, I mean, usually they come with with instructions, but typically you add probably an extra half cup of water and then you'll cook it a little, probably by an extra like 4 minutes. But it's basically cook it the same way, yes.
Gotcha. Do you have a preference? And maybe you said this, I was reading comments on the Facebook. Do you have a preference with plastic versus glass versus,
For storage?
yeah,
No, I use them all just for different things. Especially since if you're like, it's hard to put glass in the freezer. So with the freezer, I'll do a lot of freezer bags and things like that. Especially since if you're doing like, let's say you're freezing a sauce and you want to like, you can flatten it out so you can save space. And then you can take out all the air at the same time, flatten it out, save space, and then it's just one big, flat, frozen piece of sauce.
people are asking so many questions about this black rice. We
Yeah.
have another question. Do you wash the black rice?
Yeah, you do rinse it off. I mean, I usually rinse off all my rice, no matter what kind I'm using, just because I want to make sure that it's okay. But yeah, black rice you'll rinse off, and then quinoa you obviously rinse off too. So those are the two you definitely want to rinse. Yeah.
And do you ever store your veggies and fruit in mason jars?
Um,
Have you ever heard of that or
my veggies and fruits. Um, the honest answer is I don't really usually store a lot of them just because I usually cook a lot. But when I do, yeah, well, if I cook stuff, if I have stuff that's like cooked, then I'll put them in mason jars. If they're fresh, I won't put them in mason jars, no.
gotcha? Which what I found too is for myself with fruits and vegetables, there's a lot of different ones too, guys, that if you find you're not using them and they're kind of getting close to their expiration, in the refrigerator, a lot of times I'll throw them in the freezer in a, like you
Yeah,
said, a Ziploc bag or something. That's always kind of helpful because especially like I see in this picture, like bananas,
yeah.
strawberries. I do that with zucchini, with, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, so many different things. My berries, um, just a lot
Yeah,
of different things. So
the one thing about that is like, so the berries are easy, but like with a banana, if you feel like I'm gonna eat this banana some other time, but I'm not gonna eat the whole thing, like cut it before you freeze it, and then when you freeze it, you can just pull out the half or the quarter that you need.
great idea.
Yeah,
And I like those in my smoothies because you kind of like it makes your smoothie cold and you kind
yeah,
of get that. It's almost like instead of ice, I
yeah,
like using
exactly.
frozen fruit.
Yeah, I'll do like frozen berries in my smoothie instead of ice for sure. Um, and then, so next thing is keeping our kitchen clean, making sure that we don't have, I mean, and I'm not judging, but whatever. Uh, but like just a lot of clutter in your kitchen, like that doesn't need to be there, is that clutter, like clutters your mind and clutters your ability to say like, oh, I want to be in my kitchen kind of thing. Like if you clear everything out and everything's nice and clean and refreshed, then when you go in there and everything looks nice and easy and refreshed, you're going to want to go in there a lot quicker, a lot, be more willing to go in there for sure. So I would do clear out the clutter, make sure with clutter, make sure your workstations are always clean. Like if you're cooking something, you're cutting something, whatever, always like at some point pause, rinse everything off, clear off your countertop, and start over with the next thing you're going to cut because I mean everything gets cluttered up and then it goes around and before you know it, everything's spilling all over. And then make sure your towels, like make sure you have towels that are for washing and drying, and then towels that are for like if you're baking, you use for like that kind of thing, or for cooking, like if you're cooking something, you need to wipe your hands, like obviously you paper towels or something like that. But make sure you have towels that are for cleaning and towels that are for cooking. I think that's a lot, that's a big thing too. And then also reduce cross contamination. I talked about how I have cutting boards for my fish, for my vegetables, and for my meat, so we can make sure that we don't cross contaminate anything. And then obviously, if someone comes over and they're like gluten free, then that's a whole different thing too. So, And then just make sure you have your proper cleaning products as always, and make sure that you store them properly so they don't get mixed in with the food.
Um, Henry, there's actually a couple questions here.
Yeah.
How would you store an avocado?
So avocado, I mean, it depends on what you're going with. If you're talking about fridge or freezer kind of thing, but you do want, kind of like, um, put some little lime on it, and then put it in saran wrap and nice and tight. Because the thing that kills the avocado is the air. So if you put the saran wrap on there and cover it really tightly, then it's not going to be exposed to that air kind of deal. And then with that said, I mean, you can chop it up into, like, you could chop it up into you dice it up and throw that in the freezer too. You can always throw avocado in the freezer too. But I mean, it's the biggest thing is keeping it away from the air. Once it's open, keeping it away from the air.
That's after it's peeled, correct?
Yeah.
Trish
And
said
then,
she also does that with her spinach. She freezes her spinach along with, we were talking about frozen, freezing
yeah,
different
yeah.
kinds of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Great
Um,
idea.
yeah. And then the avocado, the other thing is that, I'll put it like by the sun so I could get ripe. And then once it's ripe, then I'll throw it in the fridge for a few days, and then I'll make sure I use it. I don't like to keep it too long, just because, I mean, obviously I do a lot of cooking, but also the sooner, the fresher.
I'm gonna go to the next one here.
Okay.
Here
So
we go.
safety obviously is our number one thing. Making sure that we have, our first aid kit in our, somewhere in the kitchen. We have Band-Aids, we have gloves, to cook with, and then, a fire extinguisher, because you never know. Sometimes something pops up for me even, and if you need your fire extinguisher, or you have to know how to, put out a grease fire or whatever kind of thing. But it's no big deal. But safety, we have to make sure that make sure that we have everything nice and safe. Get your sharp knives so you don't cut yourself. Make sure when you're using a hot pan, that, one of the tips is that, if you use a hot pan, it's sitting there, like, let's say it's sitting on the counter, put a little towel on top of it, I mean, on the handle, so people know that it's hot there. So I think that's a big thing, like, that people, accidentally get burned because they, like, grab a pan, not knowing that it's actually hot, but put a towel on there so people know it's hot.
Henry, do you use what is your favorite kind of cookware to use? When you were talking about that, maybe do you use stainless steel? Do you use trying to think the black. I'm trying to think of what it's called. Why is my
Yeah.
mind going blank?
Um, yeah, so there's stainless steel, and then there's
Iron skillets.
well, there's a cast iron
Cast
skillet,
iron.
and then, yeah, and then the non-stick ones. Um,
Cast iron is one
so
of my favorite.
yeah, so I feel like I mean, I use them all. Most of the time, I'll use it depends on what you're looking for. If you're doing like fish or like meats and stuff like that, you'll want to do stainless steel just so you can get that nice sear to them. So I'll use a stainless steel there. And then, but with like soups and stews, I'll have like a cast iron, like Le Creuset pot that I put that in, because then, it's easier, nicer, and you get a little bit of that iron in there too, kind of thing. And then when I'm doing my vegetables, most of the time the non-stick ones are as good for vegetables, because they'll still brown up a little bit, but they're easy to work with. So I'll use basically everything.
It kind of depends. I think for myself, it kind of depends on what I'm cooking. Like my
Yeah.
daughter was home a few weeks ago and she used a stainless steel to cut to do an egg. And I was like, okay, that did not work. It like ruined the stainless steel. It was awful.
Yeah, I
But
mean, if you do that, you have to put some like oil in there, and it's just like, it's not worth, like, for eggs, for sure, I'll do the non-stick.
okay, here we go.
Okay. And then enjoying the kitchen, like, bring your kids in the kitchen, bring your family in there, just have like those, if you can have those like family conversations or whatever, like, have them in the kitchen, like, while everybody's doing something, someone's preparing here, someone's preparing there, and just, kind of have fun doing a lot of like family things there. Have your like, play, like I said, play music that everybody likes, so you guys can all sing along while you're cooking, and just be, a creative thing, making sure that your kids are part of the whole thing, and that everybody's spending some good quality time together. And then once the food's done and you guys sit down, you have quality time to sit down and eat, then that's another time that you guys can have a good family time for sure. Yeah.
Henry, do you have any suggestions? People on this call may have kids or grandkids, and like, what would you suggest how to bring in them whenever you're doing cooking to teach them? Because I think for myself, I think it was probably whenever I was like later in high school, starting college, and then like living out on my own before I started to really get into
Yeah.
cooking and learn it. My mom was a great cook. She um she was wonderful, but I didn't really. Maybe it was that I just didn't ever really help her in the kitchen that much, What would
Yeah.
you suggest to bring your kids in to
I think that, I
teach
mean,
them?
obviously for me, my biggest thing is the earlier, the better. Like my daughter, when she was a little girl, little baby, basically, I brought her in the kitchen and we started her teaching her how to cook. And she's an awesome cook now. Obviously, the earlier, the better. Going to the farmer's market, going somewhere where it's fun for them, like going to like the regular supermarket is not fun for them. But if you're going to like an ethnic store, like a Mexican store, an Asian store, whatever kind of thing. There's all kinds of different things, new things for them to see. But the biggest thing, easiest thing for me to, I feel, is taking them to the farmers market because they can have fun, they can run around, they can pick out their own fresh, vegetables. You can teach them, there's teaching moments there for them. And then when you bring them home, and you guys are actually they using those ingredients, like if you pick out like a tomato and you're cooking with that tomato and they see all that, see what it takes to cook that in that tomato, and then you guys actually eat it together, they're more invested in that meal because they picked it from the farmers market to cooking it to the table kind of thing. So there's a lot more time invested for them, and there's more interest in them. The other thing is that as far as they get older, it does get a little harder, but at the same time, I feel like they as they get older, they can understand the process of this is healthier versus this is not as healthy kind of thing. And then explain to them why, especially us. I mean, a lot of us have had weight loss surgery, are going to. And the thing is that we used to be a big person. I used to be a big person, and it's hard. Um, and I would never want my daughter to be a big person because I know how hard it is. And so I was glad that I taught her how to cook healthy food when she was little, because she's always been a thin girl. So she's always had, a better go at it than I did for sure. But just that education of like, okay, here's how I used to look like, here's what I look like now, and here's what I'm eating now to support what I look like and how I feel. And I feel like that's another teaching moment of like, let's keep you on the right path too. There's a lot of like, just like those teaching moments of let's like all do this together. We're all in this together. This is good food, it's healthy for you, but be adventurous so they can be more interested still.
And I think you got a great point there because a lot of times, obesity can run in families. A lot of times you'll
Yeah.
see, more than just one person having
Yeah.
struggling with the disease of obesity. And I think being able to share that like healthy recipes with your family, because a lot of times, and I've heard this from different people saying, well, I cook one meal for my kids and one meal for me,
Yeah.
which is not all bad. Like, especially if you're like in the early stages of right after weight loss surgery, sometimes that is necessary because you might be on soft foods or,
Yeah.
having to really watch like the types of foods in the beginning. But, once you get into maintenance, there really shouldn't be a reason to have to do that. You can modify, number one, you can modify your own portions just so that you can eat the same kinds of foods. But what's good for you is likely good for them too, many of the different things. So I like that you said that and shared that because, we want our kids to have the healthiest ways to live as well. We don't want to have them struggle.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like it's important for them to learn. I'm just kind of just like the education part, not even just like the eating part, but the education of whys and hows and everything else, because I feel like as they get older and they move away and they go to either college or wherever they go once they leave your home, they know the hows and whys of what they're doing.
Henry, there is a question about sugar substitutes. This comes up quite frequently on
Yeah.
different things. So, do you like any sugar
I
substitutes? Is there
use
anything?
Typically I'll use allulose. I feel like that's probably the closest that I can find that's sugar basically. It mixes really well with your baking products, with your cooking products and stuff like that. But the one thing I did find is it doesn't like what on my social media I did a creme brulee, and when I did the dusting on top, it doesn't form that seal on top like it usually does. Usually everything else it does. Everything else is great, but you can't caramelize it, so no big deal.
So it makes it hard. Before I get ready to share some of these different things you have, the cookbooks, magazines, online cooking classes, I'm going to stop sharing for just a second.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to copy and paste how people can find you.
Okay.
And then we'll
Yeah.
go through each of these so that um, they can actually click onto them at any point. If you're listening to the replay, all of these are going to be in our description for the event, so you can go there and find
Hmm.
all of Henry's wonderful different um, sites to find him on. And it's taken me a second on Facebook, so be patient. And then I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna go to Henry's website and some of his other things so that he can kind of share a little bit about all of that. Okay. So first I'm gonna go to Henry, I'm gonna share first of all um your YouTube, I'm sorry, yeah, your YouTube channel.
Okay.
So I'm clicking on that. Here's your YouTube. It's Chef Healthy Henry.
Hmm.
And it looks like you have quite a few videos, 23 different videos. A lot of these too are on your website. So I'm going to click over there next and kind of
Yeah.
show them where they find the actual recipes alongside these videos.
Yeah.
Um, so
Some of these videos are embedded into the website, so you can have both. Yeah.
let me go there next. Guys, subscribe to Henry's
Yeah.
YouTube channel because you'll get notifications when new videos are posted. So if they click onto your website, they're going to find your homepage. That's what I'm on right now. We're
Yeah.
going
Hmm.
down to the recipe section. And tell me how you want me to navigate here. Do you want me to
You could
kind of
just
just
keep
page
scrolling
down?
down. Yeah, because if you go scroll down and hit all recipes, you'll just see more. Like go right or
Here,
all
let's go
recipes.
ahead and
Yeah.
click on that first.
Yeah. So then you could just scroll down and see like the different types of stuff that I have on there. Lots of fish, lots of obviously vegetables and things like that. I've started doing a little more baking stuff because, once I found the allulose, I was able to do more baking. But most of the time, it's a lot of cooking like with the fish and stuff like that. And then I do seasonal stuff. I've been doing soups and stews for a while, just because it's been winter and winter and fall. And now I'm going to start doing more salads. I have a couple of salads I'm going to put out this week for spring salads and things like that. So
And actually, that reminds me, here in a moment, I'll go back to the ProCare, our YouTube channel. We actually have done, Henry, I've kind of lost track how many different events we've done together. He's done quite a few cooking demonstrations for us, and we'll
yeah.
kind of go back and I'll show them some of those as well.
So yeah, so a lot of the
So,
stuff, everything here is going to be healthy. It's going to have high protein, high fiber, um, complex carbohydrates, just a lot of good stuff there. And they look good and they taste good and they're flavorful. And there's a lot of different things that, like jicama that people don't really realize, or like cactus, or like just like, pickled red onion, things like that are super healthy for you.
oh, these look so good. These sushi rolls. We did a whole segment on sushi, you guys, with Henry too on making healthy sushi. I
Yeah,
could
that
just
was
keep
fun.
scrolling. It just keeps going. I had no idea you had this many recipes on here now. I'm like, holy cow. So I'm gonna go back because I also want you to talk about your classes that you offer?
Yeah. So
Go back
the
again here.
yeah, so you can sign up through the website, the cooking classes. The first ones we could do a consultation. Um, the 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 prices I'm gonna lower the prices just a little bit just because I feel like I want people to I really want to encourage people to start learning how to cook. I feel like it's more important. So I'm gonna lower the price a little bit just to get people in, just to get people going, just because again, I want them to be able to do that. But with that said, we start off with a consultation, as far as where you're at in your cooking life, basically your experience. And what are the kind of things you like to cook and how, what does your kitchen look like and things like that. And we talk about that kind of thing. And then once we do that, then the first, class is going to be like, let's set everything up. Let's do some cutting together so we can make sure we know how to, hold our knives and stuff like that. And then after that, it's just like, what do you want? What do you want to cook? Let's start putting some recipes together. Let's start putting some menus together. And what do you like? What do your kids like? What do your husband and wife like? Just whatever you guys, we can just customize any kind of meals for you guys for sure. Yeah.
So Henry, once they would like say they registered for one of your online cooking classes, they picked a time on the calendar and they scheduled it. What can they expect? Would they get an email and then you would talk to them about what the first class is going to be about and what you're going to be doing?
Yeah. So they'll pick a time and they'll pick a week and then they'll go to PayPal, then they'll pay for it, and then they'll pick a time and we'll talk, and then I'll send them then I'll get an email they'll have an email sent to them, confirmation, and then I will send them an email us with a questionnaire as far as like what again, like what do you guys want to cook? What do you want to get out of this? Where you're at in your thing, and then we'll set up the consultation. We'll just have nice casual conversations just like this. It's not a hard one. We just sit back and say like, what do you like to do? What's your comforts? What are, whatever. Let's find ways to put those in there. Um, and it's just like an easygoing thing. So it's just like, yeah, you pick your time, you it goes to PayPal, and then after that, it's just a matter of just you'll get an email confirmation, and then you'll get email from me, a personal email from me saying thank you for blah blah blah. Now let's talk about where you want to go with your cooking journey.
So um it sounds like that it's an experience for one person or two people or
No, you can do. I mean, I mean, the thing is that you can do it as a family. You could do it as as a couple or a single person, or you can have a bunch of girlfriends come over and do them all together. Just because, I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter because whoever's in the kitchen is in the kitchen, and it's more fun when you're doing it with your friends or your family kind of thing. So if you have a bunch of girls come over and we all get on Zoom together, or we can do it in our individual kitchens, whatever kind of thing. They just have to pay differently, but it's not a big deal. But if you have if you have 4 or 5 girls come over and we can cook together all at one time, that's great. It'll be more fun.
so is it a different price for more people or is it the
No,
same?
no, if they're in your kitchen, you guys, it's just one price. Yeah. But if we could do a group class, like a group Zoom, like 4 or 5 different people, then everybody's got paid differently, separately.
Gotcha. Okay. Somebody's asking, is that a little shelf in your sink? Is it suctioned on or does it have legs? It looks nice and compact.
Um, okay, first of all, that's not my kitchen.
That looks like Connie's kitchen, Connie
It is Connie's
Stapleton's
kitchen,
kitchen.
yes. It's Connie's kitchen. I
You
love
were
her
probably
kitchen.
having to organize her there a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was like, Connie, all your stuff is all wrong. Um,
She's so wonderful with psychology. She has
yeah,
such a talent there. She
I
does not
love
like to
her.
cook though.
No, I love her kitchen. She has this awesome kitchen, and she never cooks in it. I'm just like, you're such a waste.
Her health is beautiful.
Yeah,
Um, Connie was on, I think it was last week. She was on this program last week. So we have her replay. Guys, I'll have to show
yeah.
you that too here. But so Henry, anything else you want to share? I know we're gonna get close on time. We
Um,
have nutritional coaching too.
Yeah, so I do a lot of nutritional coaching just because I feel like it's part of our journey, like nutrition. You know, the whens and hows and whys are we eating protein and fiber first, and the psychological part of what we're doing is on on the whole food process, the cooking process and the eating process, and you know, eating your fibers before your sugars or fiber with sugar kind of thing to help with the insulin spikes and things like that. We go through a lot of that together, just because I feel like that's a lot of the intangible things that people don't really think about.
So, and that is 75. Whoops,
Yeah,
for that class, for a class on that. So
yeah.
it's a little bit shorter time. It looks like 45 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, 45 minutes. And the thing is, for me, I don't, it could take me an hour and 15 minutes. It doesn't really matter, just as long as everybody gets what they need out of it. You know, I'm a little more easy about stuff, easygoing about stuff, especially when it comes to food. I can talk about food all day long. So, yeah,
So Henry, the other places they can mentioned Instagram, your website, TikTok. I'll pull that up here real quickly.
yeah,
And TikTok, you have a lot of videos there as well. So they can definitely find you there.
yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
I think the biggest thing for me is just if you're not interested in cooking, or if you're interested in cooking but you're just getting started or whatever, just give me a call and let's just talk about it. Just because the thing is, for me, if I didn't have my culinary background, it would be so much harder for me right now when I'm in maintenance 3.5 years later to figure out what to really navigate everything. And I know it's hard for a lot of people, and I think that's how people start getting into that whole regain of 15, 20, 50, pounds kind of thing. I feel like a lot of like, if you learn how to do the cooking, and if you actually, just, you don't have to do it every day, just like 2 or 3 times a day, do some meal prepping and things like that. It's going to go a long way to keep you on your track forever. And I feel like that's one of those things where, people say it's a struggle. It is a struggle. I mean, my life, staying on track sometimes is a struggle, and everything's a lot of good to it, but there are some struggles to it there. But I feel like this is one of those things that if it's a natural lifestyle change, it's not, and it's just part of who you are, then it's not, then it doesn't make it, and it'll make it easier.
So thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing tips and all about the kitchen. It makes me want to go make something right now. It's 2 o'clock here in Missouri, so I'm kind of getting hungry. I haven't eaten lunch yet. So thank you for all of that. I may have to hop onto your website, look up one of your recipes and see if I can make something. And I just want to share one more thing here, guys. I want to do a shout out to our sponsor, which is ProCare Health, and want to just show you a little bit about ProCare. ProCare is basically known as being a vitamin supplement company, some of the least expensive supplements out there in vitamins, all made with great quality products. And we have bariatric multivitamins, calcium supplements, proteins, some different therapeutics. I also want to click onto this BariConnected page because this is where you can find Henry's event and any of our events coming up. So Henry's event will be on replay on demand until the end of this month. And so if you want to come back and listen to that event, all you have to do is click on the event one more time. And it may cause you to register, but it'll bring you directly to the on-demand replay. We also have other ones coming up, and we have, as I mentioned before, Dr. Connie Stapleton. Her event was last week, so hers is still on replay. We also put all of our we have a support group as well. Mentioned that too. We'll be doing that next week. That's optimizing movement after bariatric surgery with Rob DiMedio. And then we have all of our replays are listed the week after the event. So next for Henry's event, it'll be next Tuesday, and they're put on our podcast, which is called Bari Connected. Spotify, iHeartRadio, any of the ones, the normal podcast stations that are listened to. And then we have the YouTube channel, which is ProCare Health Vitamins and Supplements. The link, if you click on this YouTube button right here, it'll bring you to the link and get you there. I'll show you that here in a moment. And we have a Facebook link. We just started a Facebook group. It is called BariConnect. And then we have a Facebook group called BariConnected. So those are also on our website there. If you click onto the ProCare site, there should be a subscribe button. You can subscribe to Henry's channel. You can subscribe to the ProCare channel, and you're notified of any kind of videos as they're posted. So right now we have about 270 some videos posted and all different kinds of fun little stuff to kind of watch and listen to.
Nice.
So I just want to thank you, Henry, and I want to thank every single one of us that joined us. Thanks, Donna. Yes, check out our YouTube channel. And guys, have a safe afternoon. Have a wonderful start to your spring, summer, and start cooking. Go on Henry's channel, look up some of his recipes, and just start out. And if you have questions, they can just reach out to you. Is it Instagram the best or through your website?
Probably whatever's easiest for them. My website has my email, obviously Instagram, and you can send me a DM or whatever's easier for you guys, just because I'm very accessible. So it's not a big deal. So just want to say, and have it, all the mothers, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Henry.
Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, and have a safe afternoon. Bye, everybody.